Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the beginner fat loss guide. Whether you're fat or skinny fat, this video should literally cover everything you need to know about losing weight, okay? You guys probably came from my TikTok, I understand. So I know you guys, so many people have asked me for this video, so I'm gonna literally cover everything you need to know in order to lose weight. Alright, to begin, I just want to get something clear, okay? You need to stop thinking that the hard things are what work because they're not, okay? They're not what work. If you catch yourself doing activities that you hate, diets that you literally hate and you can't stick to, and gym exercises that you hate, I promise you, I can tell you right now, guaranteed 100%, you will not lose the weight. And even if you did lose the weight, there's no way in hell you are going to be able to keep it off. The reason for this is because if you want to actually be able to lose weight and keep it off, you have to be consistent and stuff. You need to be consistent in what you're doing so you can do it. If you can't imagine doing this shit for the rest of your life, then it's not going to work, okay? So I'm going to show you everything in this video to make it as easy as humanly possible for you to stick to what you need to do. All right? All right, so the first thing, the most important thing that you guys need to understand is diet and food, okay? In order to lose weight, you must be in a calorie deficit. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you will not lose weight. So what does being in a calorie deficit actually mean? All right. So your body needs calories in order to survive. This is basically energy that you get from food. All different kinds of foods have different amounts of calories in them, okay? Unhealthy foods have more calories, healthier foods have less calories. That is a good, that is basically the norm, okay? That is a good rule to go by. It's not true in all cases, which I'm about to get into, but that is basically the norm. To find your maintenance calories, which is required to understand how many calories you need to eat in order to lose weight, you want to go search on Google TDEE calculator, okay? It'll show you a load of stuff and you need to just put in your details, okay? It'll ask you for your weight, for your height, for your gender, and then it'll tell you the amount of calories that you need to be eating every single day in order to be able to lose weight. I mean, to maintain your weight. What you want to do with that number that it gives you is subtract 500 to 700 calories from it. Depending on your weight, this is different. If you are above 30% body fat, you could get away in being in a 700 to 1000 calorie deficit. If you are around 20% body fat, I recommend you stick to a 500 calorie deficit. The more fat that you have, the least calories that you can get away with eating because you have energy in your fat, if that makes sense, okay? What I want you guys to start doing is tracking your calories, all right? Why is this so important? If you don't track your calories and you're a beginner, you are not going to know which foods are high in calories and which foods are low in calories, okay? And the only way to find this out is through tracking your calories. Now, there are loads of different apps that you can use to track your calories. What I personally did, I did use a calorie tracking app for a little bit, but what you can do is just go onto the back of any product that you are thinking of eating, look at how much it weighs, how many calories are in 100 grams. And then if you do the maths, you weigh out your food on a food scale, you will find out how many calories are in what you're eating, right? If you just do the maths. I highly, highly recommend that you eat whole foods. Why do I recommend this? If you are eating ultra processed foods such as Doritos, Oreos, anything that is claimed unhealthy, that is going to keep you way less full and it's going to have way higher amount of calories, okay? That is not what you want. You want the opposite of that, and that's where whole foods come in, such as just chicken breast, eggs, ground beef. All these foods that aren't processed, those are whole foods, and those are what you want to eat because that is going to keep you the most full, and they usually have the least calories, okay? Now we're going to talk about snacks, okay? 99% of people who are stuck in this overweight cycle of not being able to lose weight or being able to lose weight and then gaining it back tend to enjoy snacking a lot. Now, the biggest downfall for people is for when they're trying to lose weight is when they snack on foods that are extremely high in calories. What is an example of this? Crisps, okay? Chips for the Americans. Anything sweet like M&Ms, I don't know, pretzels, I guess. You know what I'm trying to say. Anything that is like greasy, salty, and comes in like a bag like Doritos. Like if you think of a supermarket aisle where they have all these foods, they're all probably super high in calories, all right? Instead, what you want to do is start replacing them with low calorie snacks, okay? What are some low calorie snacks? I know you guys aren't going to like to hear this, but fruits are super low in calorie. Not all fruits, but majority of fruits are low in calories. Fruits such as honeydew melon and watermelon, they're so low in calories. It is literally like it takes talent to be able to gain weight from eating those fruits, okay? And if you're someone that likes to binge eat, well, obviously not likes to, but suffers with binge eating, this is going to be such a good option for you because you can eat so much of this shit and not gain weight. All right. There's also things like low calorie, high protein brownies. Okay. I'll post a recipe on my TikTok soon. There's loads of low calorie versions of snacks that you can make. Yes, you have to make it's like more of an effort, but at the end of the day, how bad do you want this shit? How bad do you want to lose the weight? You can't be lazy in this shit. Now, healthy does not mean low calorie. Yes, as I was saying earlier, the if something's a whole food, like clean foods, they usually have way less calories, okay? But this isn't the case for all foods. Things like avocados, okay? Uh, avocados, nuts, olive oil, these are things that are technically good for you because they're good for your immune system. They have vitamins, minerals, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that it's going to be low calories. I've got this thing here. I found it. Okay. Okay, it's kind of cut off. But for example, granola. People think this is so healthy, right? It is healthy. It's good for you. But it's got so many calories, bro. So many. Nuts as well. One handful of nuts can like have literally over 200 calories. Literally in a handful. You can eat that shit in 2 fucking seconds, alright? Raisins, avocados, as I was saying, salmon. All these foods are good for you, but that doesn't mean they're low in calories. So this is why this goes back to the other thing. You need to be tracking your calories. It's so important, guys. You need to be tracking your calories to know what the fuck, how many calories you're fucking eating, okay? You don't need to do this for the rest of your life. I recommend you track your calories for around 2 to 3 months because then that's enough time for you to have an idea of how many calories are in certain foods, being able to remember it, and just having it ingrained in your head. Okay? Things like mayonnaise are so high in calories and people just don't know. Like they don't know. So they'll be eating this stuff and then wonder why they're not losing weight, but in reality it's just because you're unaware of it, bro. So you need to become aware of it. High protein. What do I mean by this? You need to be eating a high protein diet, okay? I recommend you eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight that you weigh. This basically means 1 gram of protein per 2.2 kilograms that you weigh. Why do you need to eat high protein? Because if you're not eating protein, you are not going to you're not going to have the body that you want because you're going to end up just being skinny fat because you need protein to build muscle. All right, I'm going to get into this later in the working out section. But if you're not eating high protein, you're not going to build muscle. And if you don't have muscle and you lose the weight, you're just going to end up skinny fat. Even if you are already skinny fat, like you're not going to make it anywhere, okay? You're just going to become fucking anorexic, wonder what the fuck's going on, and you're not going to make any progress. Micronutrients. You do not need to get into the carbs, the fats, knowing like the inside outs of all these micronutrients, okay? The only micronutrient that you need to be aware of right now is protein, because you are a beginner, okay? Beginner. So just stick to the protein. Later on in the future, you can start learning about carbs and fats, and I'll make a video on that in the future, but for now, just focus on protein. And every day. You need to be doing this shit every single fucking day. You cannot just do this shit whenever the fuck you feel like, okay? It is better to be mediocre and consistent every day than to be perfect, for example, 3 out of the 7 days of the week, okay? Consistency over perfection every single fucking day. It is so important, guys. Now, next, cardio. I'm going to be talking about cardio, okay? The reason people do cardio is because it burns calories, which makes being in a calorie deficit, as I was talking about earlier, much easier. Okay? First off, weight matters. Depending on how much you weigh, uh, basically, shows how many calories you're going to be burning for a certain exercise, for a certain run, for example. Someone who weighs more is going to burn way more calories than someone who weighs less. All right? Sports. If you enjoy a certain sport, then do that fucking sport. If you genuinely enjoy it, that is the best way to be able to stick to it because you enjoy it. You need to enjoy it to be able to stick to it, okay? If you, for example, play basketball, stick to basketball for as long as you can because that is, bro, consistency over everything, okay? If you are, but then on the contrary, if you're being forced to do a sport that you don't even like, that you genuinely hate, then don't fucking do it. When I was trying to lose weight for the first time, my parents would force me into different sports such as football, mountain biking, and I hated that shit. So I never wanted to do it, and I would already be burnt out from the sport to be able to do any of this stuff that I did like, okay? If you like a sport, do it. If you don't like a sport, stop doing it. Running. Running is basically like it's something everyone tells you that you need to do in order to lose weight, and so many people do it to lose weight. However, you do not need to run in order to lose weight, okay? An 80-kilogram person burns around 400 calories every 5 kilometers. To run 5 kilometers, it takes roughly 30 to 40 minutes if you're a beginner, right? Unless you're a fucking athlete, you can run that shit fast. If you're a beginner, 30 to 40 minutes. Now, this burns the same amount of calories as if you were going to walk for an hour. So for every 30 seconds that you're running, you could be burning the same amount of calories just walking for 1 minute. Which one sounds easier to you? Which one sounds like you can be more consistent with? Because I know my fucking answer. I'm gonna stick with walking. I walk when I actually was able to lose weight, when I locked in since August, walking saved my fucking life because it's actually maintainable. You can actually stick to it. You are not going to be on the sofa thinking, "Oh my God, I need to walk for an hour, bro." Obviously, some people like I did at the start as well. I would sometimes have days where I'd be like, "Fuck sakes, I don't want to do this." But I'll tell you what, it is a whole lot easier to get off of your fucking chair to walk for an hour than it is to run for 30 minutes because running is hard. Let's be real, running is fucking hard. Unless you genuinely enjoy running, stick to walking. It's way more manageable. And side note, when you're walking, you are tapping into your fat stores more than if you were running. I know I told you don't need to get into micronutrients, but this is something to know. When you are running, you are tapping more into your carbohydrate storage, okay? Which is not what we want because we want to burn fat. So while you're walking, you are technically burning more fat than if you are running, which is really interesting and it's genuinely there's no life hacks in losing weight, but it is close to a fucking life hack, right? Again, as I said earlier, you need to be doing this every fucking day, okay? I don't want you to tell yourself, "Oh my God, I've done this shit for like 3 days straight. I can have a break." No. No, you're walking. Okay, it's not fucking hard. You can do this shit every day. You're not training for a fucking marathon, okay? It's easy. Yes, there are going to be bad days, which I'm going to talk about later, but just try your best to do it every day. If walking for an hour is too much, 10,000 steps, I recommend you do 8,000 steps. Maybe 7,000 steps, but I would try to do 10,000 steps every single day. You'll see a lot of results. And you just got to think about this. The longer that you fucking walk, so say you walk for, sorry, not longer, but if you fucking compound every day that you're walking 400 calories a day, then 800, then fucking 1,200. As the weeks go on, the months go on, you're going to be saving hundreds of thousands of fucking calories, bro, in the long run. Alright? It makes being in a calorie deficit so much easier because then you're allowed to eat more food. You don't have to restrict yourself. If you are going to do cardio, I mean, if you are going to try to lose weight by just only being in a calorie deficit without doing cardio, you are it's going to be so hard because you're going to have to limit the amount of food you eat so much. But when you do cardio, you're allowed to eat a little bit more. Okay? That's why cardio is important. Walking. I genuinely recommend this so much for anyone who's trying to lose weight. Forget the running, just do walking unless you enjoy running. The next fucking thing, working out slash gym. This avoids being skinny fat. Okay? If you don't have muscle mass, which you probably don't if you're a beginner, you need to go to the gym to build that muscle mass. Why? Look at this picture right here. This is the same for so many people, okay? you have a lot of fat to lose, but you don't have much muscle. Okay? If this guy was to lose all that fat without any muscle, he would just be skinny. And if he doesn't reach skinny, he would be skinny fat. Okay? This is the result from actually going to the gym, sticking to your fucking diet. Okay? You need to go to the gym. How often should you go to the gym? 3 times a week. Why do I say only 3 times? Oh, but I should go fucking 5 times, 6 times a week because that's what my friends told me. And if I don't, I'm a pussy. No, you're a beginner. You want to do stuff that makes you consistent. You want to get 1% better every day. You don't want to go fully in. If not, you're not going to be able to stay consistent to it, and you're just going to give up after 2 weeks, like every single other time you try to lose weight. Okay? Gym 3 times a week. All right. Upper lower split. The reason I recommend an upper lower split and not like push pull legs or something more advanced, right? Is because you're a beginner, like I said, so you're not going to know much. So what it's much easier to just be able to do an upper lower split, being able to stick to that for a while, and it works fine. Uh you don't need to do these exercises that it says here, but this is just an example of stuff to do, okay? One exercise per muscle group. All right. The reason I say one exercise instead of doing 3 exercises for muscle group, for example, if you want to train chest, I want you to just do one movement for your chest, one pressing movement, one flying movement, okay? I don't want you to do 3 exercises because your muscles are going to get tired way quicker than for someone who has already been training for around 3 months or say a year. Okay, this is because you have newbie gains, you're a beginner, your muscles are not used to being put under so much load. All right, 1 exercise per muscle group. Trust me, you do 1 exercise per muscle group, you're still gonna feel that fucking pain the next morning. All right, 3 sets per exercise. Basically, with that 1 exercise per muscle group, say you're training chest, you're doing bench press. I want you to do 3 sets of that. So say you do 12 reps, which is what I recommend. People like to do 8 reps. I like to do 8 reps, but that's because I'm able to load the weight more because I'm used to being in the gym, and it's just better for hypertrophy, which is muscle gain. But doing 3 sets per exercise I mean, doing 12 reps per set is going to be the most beneficial for you because you're just starting out. Okay, I promise you, you will gain muscle very quickly because you're just starting out and you're going through newbie gains, so it will be very easy for you. This is so important. Don't fucking overwhelm yourself. The whole reason I'm telling you to do 1 exercise per muscle group, do a simple split, going only 3 times a week, is because I don't want you to be overwhelmed and think, oh my god, this is too much, I'm gonna give up. You need to do stuff that you can actually stick to, man. So that's why you gotta stick with 1 exercise per muscle group, 3 times a week, 3 sets per exercise, alright? Training hard. Since you're a beginner, you do not need to train super fucking hard till failure when your fucking eye socket's about to pop out and there's going to be blood shooting through your fucking cock, alright? I want you to just train until you really are kind of struggling on that last rep. You don't need to go to absolute failure when you're like, ugh. I just want you to, being like on the last rep, I want you to be struggling quite a bit, but not until you're literally about to fucking explode, okay? You're a beginner. Take it slow, alright? It's all about consistency, like I said. The fourth thing is tracking progress. All right. Why do you need to track your progress? If you don't track your progress, you are not going to be able to. You're not going to know if you're fucking progressing, bro. Yes, you can look in the mirror every day, but the thing is about looking in the mirror is that if you look in the mirror every single day, it's going to be hard to notice if you made a change. Think about it this way. Say you have a friend that's losing weight and you see him once a week, okay? You're going to be able to notice a little change on him every single week that you see him. But in his mind, he's probably not changing at all because he's looking at himself every single day. It's hard to notice a change. That's why I tell people, weigh yourself, okay? If you have a scale, you need to weigh yourself every single day. I want you to track it on your notes app. So I want you to put day 1, blah, 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 kilos or pounds. Day 2, blah, 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 kilos. I want you to do that every single day, and I want you to track that shit. And then after the week ends, I want you to look at the weights that you've written down, and I want you to see which one looks the most similar. Okay? Why look for the one that's most similar? Because your weight fluctuates up and down. Okay? Whether you took a shit last night, whether you drank hella water last night, or whether you still have some fucking food in your stomach, bro. I want you to fucking track that shit down. And once you have that number that looks the most similar, I want you, as every single week that goes past, I want you to fucking uh realize that that is your weight. That is your actual weight. Not the, like, say you weigh yourself today and you're 80 kilos, and then you weigh yourself tomorrow and you're 81 kilos, and then you weigh yourself the day after and you're 79 kilos. It's very confusing. So in the week, you need to look for the weight that is the most similar, and that is your actual weight, and then you compare that weight every single day. Progress pictures. If you are not taking progress pictures, like I said earlier, you are not going to know if you're losing weight because you're looking at yourself every single day. Okay? This guy who went on a weight loss journey looks fucking great now. At this stage, if he wasn't taking progress pictures, he would look at himself every single day and he would not notice a difference. There is not much of a difference between this first picture and the second picture. However, since he took the progress pictures, you can definitely tell that he has lost a little bit of fat. His stomach's a bit leaner. Okay? Same as in this picture to this picture. Alright? It's just something to keep in mind. I highly recommend taking one progress picture at least once a week. Alright? Preferably once every 3 days. And I get that a lot of people don't want to fucking do it because they're really insecure and they don't like looking at themselves in the mirror. They don't like seeing them, like taking a picture of themselves shirtless, right? But it is just something you have to do. This is my biggest regret because I did not take progress pictures, so I was so confused with my weight loss journey because I couldn't tell if I was losing weight. I couldn't tell if I was actually making progress. So please take progress pictures and weigh yourself. Obviously, weighing yourself every single day, super important. All right. Like I said, everything you should be doing every single day. Consistency over perfection, guys. All right. And the last thing that I'm going to be talking about today is consistency, bro. As I was literally just saying, you need to be doing this every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Okay? This is what builds discipline. If you are not doing this shit every single day and you have days where you're thinking, fuck, I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to do it, that day is going to cost you in the future because that is literally making discipline, the art of discipline, so much harder. You will, if you don't develop discipline by doing stuff when you don't want to do it, you are never going to be able to stick to it. All right? Because this is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. All right? You're always going to have bad days. Everyone has bad days. I have bad days. Your fucking favorite influencer has bad days. You need to understand that this is just normal and you need to accept it, bro. You need to accept that this shit is going to happen. Stop looking at obstacles as the end of the world and look at them for ways to improve yourself, bro. Every bad day that you have, you are improving your discipline. Okay? If everything was sunshine and rainbows, you would never learn discipline. You would never be able to stick to shit. Okay? You need to have bad days in order to grow. It's as simple as that. 1% better every day. As I was saying earlier, you don't need to go all in on you don't have to go in all in on everything, okay? You don't have to have the perfect fucking diet. You don't have to have the perfect training routine. You don't have to have the perfect form of cardio, the perfect amount of reps. You know what I mean? 1% better every day is the best thing that you can be told because that is how you can actually stick to stuff without being overwhelmed by everything you need to do, okay? This is a marathon, not a sprint, okay? Remember that shit. And discipline, as I was just saying, you need to be fucking disciplined. If you're not disciplined, you're not going to make it anywhere because you're going to have bad days, and for those bad days you need to unlock the art of discipline, which is unlocked by going through bad days, doing stuff when you don't feel like it. All right, that is going to be the end of this beginner fat loss guide. If you have any other questions or anything to ask me, leave it in the comments and I'll reply to it. And yeah, just know that I'm fucking proud of you for even watching this video. If you actually was able to stick to the end, that is such a huge sign that you will actually progress, okay? Please stick to this. Don't give up. I know you fucking got this. If you came from my TikTok, DM me, comment on this video, do whatever, okay? I'm always here to help. And yeah, good luck on your fitness journey, bro.